Rakata Yahweh by Shem, Yahweh Shai, Natananawa, Za, Rawam, Tawada, Za, Rawam. Rakata Yahweh by Shem, Yahweh Shai, Natananawa, War, Za, Rawam, Tawada, Aman. Madwa, Wapanya, Jerusalem. Stand and face Jerusalem. The blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh, Shem, Yahweh Shai, Hawa Nathan Lanawa, Shabbath, Shalom, Tawada Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath and peace. Thank you, so be it. Psalms 121. Tahayim Ma'a Aisharayim Akkad. Anya Harayim Ayanyam Ya Al Maharyam Mayan Yabu'a Isaiah Yabu'a Mayahawa Shai Shah Shemayim Waratiza La'a Yanathan Lamawat Rogalia Yanawam Wala'a Shashwamarka Hana La'a Yanawam Wala'a Yayashan Shashwamar Yasharala Yahweh Shamaria Yahweh Tazalia Al Yad Yam Yam Ya Yawamam Hashemash La'a Hakaya Wayarach La'a Balayala Yahweh Yashamaria Makal Rai Yashamar Napasha Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakya Wabuaya Ma'aita Wa'ai Iwalam Wa'ashum Yahweh Shai Tawada Aman.
English translation. Psalms 121. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. The water Aman.
Hear, O Israel, Shema Yasharala. Shema Yasharala. Yahweh Allahayanawa. Yahweh Akkad. Shema Yasharala. Yahweh Allahayanawa. Yahweh Akkad. Shema Yasharala. Yahweh Allahayanawa. Yahweh Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hail Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Yahweh Tapala. the Lord's Prayer. Abiyanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kwadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahawa, Malak Wafka, Daba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Nathan Lanawa, Lakam, Za, Yawam, Wasalak Lanawa, Kabawaf Yanawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawawaf Yanawa, Wala'a, Habaya Nawa, Nasaya One, All, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Marai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Waha'ala, Wahathaparath, La'iwalam, Aman.
Matthew 6 and 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Hai Shara Matazawat, the Ten Commandments. La'a, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayam, Akariam, Alpanya, La'a, Da'aisha, Laka, Pasal, Wala'a, Da'ibadam, La'a, Dalakwaka, Shamwa, Yahawa, Alahayaka, La Shawa, Zakar, Ath, Hayawam, Hashabath, La Kwadashwa, Kabad, Abiaka, Wa Amaka, La'a, Daratazak, La'a, Dana'ap, La'a, Daganab, La'a, Da'ina, Shakwar, La'a, Dakamad, Kal, Ashara, Labra'aika, Aman.
Exodus 20 and 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Wada Amun.
Yeshua, be seated. Shalom, Yasharala. I'm priest Aquamalak, and I'm with priest Samak, priest Paquad, and priest Nabiyah Zarababel. So Samak is going to take over real quick. And he's going to start with reading. This is Passover 2020. And Samak is going to start off with reading the first few chapters. And then priest Paquad is going to take over from there.
First two chapters of what?
So shalom,
So,
brothers and sisters that's out there. Happy Passover, a sharp sock. For the majority of us who've been doing Passovers, this is our first time doing a Passover like this at home being secluded away from a congregation or a hotel or a place of gathering. We know we're in strange times. We're in different times right now. So we kind of have to do it the ancient way, the way it was first done or kept back in ancient Egypt by our ancestors, where they kept it. So for us at this time, it's kind of interesting. It's the first time I'm doing it, kind of experience how they did it back then, where we're not all in one place, but we're kind of spread out and wondering, making sure that everybody's keeping the same ordinances that is prescribed in the Bible. But, you know, I will say Most High's will, everybody is in good spirits, healthy, safe, has all of their necessary Passover requirements as far as for your lamb, your bitter herbs, your wine, your unleavened bread, and also your, most importantly, being in the right spirit, right? So, you know, today is the memorial of the deliverance of the children of Israel coming out of ancient Egypt, you know, some thousands of years ago. And we're going to go through some scriptures to read the history pertaining to it. And as we go through them, you're going to see how some of it kind of correlates to what we're going through right now here today in these last days. Because as we notice that, you know, there's certain things that's happening in the earth that's almost reminiscent of what happened in the past. I think we're at the beginning stages of seeing some of those things. We still are waiting to see what the next major things are going to be that's going to take the whole world or the whole globe, you know, by storm. So, you know, this is the same. This is what we now have to kind of be patiently waiting and watching and seeing what the Lord is going to bring as far as for the new plagues that's happening into modern day Babylon. But I wanted to start in Exodus, the first chapter, to kind of go through some history before we get into the actual memorial that we usually read in Exodus, going through the actual event itself. I'm going to read through it because I know we're already at 10 o'clock, but I want to make sure that we kind of breeze through it. I'll read it as a story in context. I won't go too much into it in depth because I know we still got to get through Exodus 12. So this is Exodus, the first chapter, and the 7th verse. It says, "And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph," because at that time Joseph had, you know, some kind of a, you know, a friendship with or kinship with the former Pharaoh, and they favored Israel or favored Jacob and his posterity, which included Joseph, and they took care of us, and we prospered in the land of Egypt. But then came a new Pharaoh who didn't know us, kind of, you know, he didn't have any care for us, any love for us, but he had a different spirit in mind. Verse 9, it says, "And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, and the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel." So whatever they put upon us, you know, we see the same thing today. We kind of always seem to rise above whatever conflict is, you know, what kind of affliction or kind of hell is put upon us. We always seem to rise above it and still sustain ourselves. So it's the same thing that happened with them back then, where, you know, they afflicted them with taskmasters and kind of made a little bit strenuous, but we still multiplied and grew and became a great people. It says, verse 12 again, "But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field." So this is going to be something that's going to come up again when we read the 12th chapter, as it pertains to, you know, the bitterness of what the memorial of the Passover unleavened bread that we keep. It kind of comes back to this. It says, "All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, When you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you should kill him. But if it be a daughter, then you should lead, then she shall live." Right. So when they was about to give birth to the children, the midwives were supposed to go in, and when the baby came out, if it was a boy, they were supposed to kill him, right? Remember, this also is something that we touched on in the Friday class, that the same punishment or the same iniquity or sin that you do, the Most High has a way of bringing it back on your own head. So here it is, they are trying to kill, the firstborn male child that was coming out of the, or the men child that was coming out of the women that was giving birth at that time. And they chose Hebrew midwives to do it, right? Let's see what happens. Verse 17, but the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive, right? So they didn't obey what the Pharaoh wanted. They feared the Most High more than man, and they just avoided that situation. It says, and the king of Egypt called the midwives and said unto them, why have you done this thing and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. So they're like, listen, they're not like your women where they kind of need the assistance of a midwife to come and deliver them. These women, they go out there and just pop out these children without even needing the midwife. Before we even come into them, they're already done, right? So it says, verse 20, therefore God dealt with them. So like, therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty, right? So because of what these two midwives did by not executing what the Pharaoh wanted, they allowed Israel to prosper and then to exceed and become more mighty than what we were before. It says, and the Most High dealt well with them. He showed favor unto these two women. It says, verse 21, and it came to pass because the midwives feared God that he made them houses, right? So he took care of them their time when they was there in Egypt, right? Sometimes it comes to mind where the Lord says, in my house I have many mansions, a place set for you. So it kind of reminds me how the Most High would have something established or set up for these two women. It says, and Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. So that's what was going on. That was a climate back then during the time of ancient Egypt with the children of Israel, how as a nation, we were the target. We were the focal point, right? It's the same thing how today we kind of question, why does it always happen to black and brown skinned individuals where we the ones who go through this hell? It was almost similar to what we read in here, and we're going through this affliction. So there's a lot of years of going on, of transpired where the children of Israel is going through this year after year after year, and you're questioning, you're saying, why us? Why us? Why not anyone else? Who's going to come and redeem us, right? So we fast forward to Exodus, the 3rd chapter, right? Exodus, the 3rd chapter, and the 6th verse. So sometimes things happen for a long period of time, right? You see it in the scriptures when you read the history. Sometimes it could be 1 year, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, hundreds of years, where Israel or the people will be going through this hard affliction. Some of it is prophetic, right? It is the Most High's will that these things have to happen. But in the end, the Lord will show his face, right? That's what we're going to read here. Exodus 3 and 6. It says, moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrow. So even as the years went by and people died horrible deaths, or they were going through strenuous affliction, the Most High always heard it. But it was not until the appointed time when the Lord would send a deliverer. Same thing as now, right? We've gone through hundreds of years, probably longer than then, where we've had a lot of cries going up to God to figure out, when are we going to be redeemed? When is salvation going to come? But the Lord is going to send Christ in at the same appointed time, like he sent Moses to go and perform that task. It says, verse 7 again, and the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmaster, for I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto a good land and a large, and unto a land flowing with milk and honey, right? So the Lord realized that it was time now to go and take them out of that captivity that was in Egypt and bring them into a land that was much better than what they had seen before. This is what the Lord is telling Moses, right? Moses and his brother Aaron now are going to get this information that the rest of the nation didn't get. They're going to be taken from a bad situation and placed into a good one. It says, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. These are all nations that come from out of the people of the sons of Ham, right? They were already dwelling in the land of Israel, right? Known as the land of Canaan. So the Most High was going to take that land, which was already his favorite, and then give it to the children of Israel. It says, now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them, right? So on one hand, you was going to get a deliverance for the children of Israel by the Most High sending his deliverer Moses and Aaron. On the other hand, you was going to get a punishment that was now going to happen to those who oppressed or afflicted the children of Israel, right? That's the judgment that's going to come, or that was going to happen, right? So we know that the Most High, as a storyline went, he sent these plagues upon the children of Egypt, right? And only the children of Egypt, right? Throughout all of their lands, the Most High sent these plagues down. I'll say 9 because we're going to read the 10th one or go into it. But the Most High sent these plagues down: the darkness, the rivers where every water vessel was turned into blood, the locusts, the lice. The Lord sent a lot of plagues, and it was something that they thought that they can deal with. They had their own magicians, and they said, our magicians can do the same. But the Most High was showing his power and his force, that there's nothing like him. And on a manner and a scale, whereas when man was kind of perplexed as to how is this happening, and then it could be turned off, when they appear to repent. But the Most High was performing his work to not only show the Egyptians who were the true power, but to also show us, because at that time, a lot of us didn't know God. Even today, most of us don't know the Most High, right? We know a false image, we know a false God, but we don't know the true extent of the Most High's power. That's what he's going to kind of put forth in these last days, that people are going to miraculously see and then realize that there really truly is a power. So reading on, it says, come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people and the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? So this is, where the Most High starts to deal with Moses, and he now is sending him back and forth to Pharaoh to perform, his task and give him the information that he was told to, and then perform these plagues, right? So that's just a brief history on how we got to where we're about to jump to in Exodus, the 12th chapter, and then we're going to pick up and read some further instructions. So I'll pass it off to Paquad, Kahan Paquad, to pick up in Exodus 12.
All right, Tawada, brothers and sisters, Shalom, and welcome to the Passover of the Most High. All right, welcome to the Passover. And for those of you watching on the live stream, listening on the conference line, it's a joyous occasion, and I am blessed and happy to be here in this day. Okay. All right. So we're gonna read in Exodus the 12th chapter, and where we're gonna read about the day of deliverance, which is that great day that we all come and gather together to observe. All right. So Exodus the 12th chapter, verse 1, and it reads, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. So which means it's gonna be the first month of the year. So the beginning of months. So all the months that we have, observing the new moon months, the new moon calendar, and today is that first month. And it says, it shall be the first month of the year to you. Verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb. So for each house, they should make sure that they pick a lamb, right? And it says, this is for the month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house, and if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. So which means we should not have any shortage. And if we have a lamb and the lamb is too much, we have to gather people right next to us, since we were living in a community with Israelites, which we are not doing now in in our land of captivity. We scattered around, but for the most part, that's what we call the ghetto, right, where we all gather. But we don't know who we are, so therefore, um, it's not the same as when we were in Egypt and knew who we were. And for the most part, we were keeping the law out of majority, more so than we are today. So today we scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and very few of us really know who we are. All right. So nonetheless, verse 4, it says, and if the verse 5, sorry, it says, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goat. So your lamb shall be without blemish, meaning without any deformities, right? So it should be whole. It says, let him and his neighbor, sorry. And it says, verse 5, once again, let me read it up. It says, your lamb water. It says, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. It could be either from the sheepfold or from the goat. In verse 7, it says, and they shall take the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door post of the house wherein they shall eat it. So keep in mind, remember when we were doing the sacrifice in the holies of holies, when the priest had to sprinkle the blood on the mercy seat, right? So that the presence of the Lord, when it appear, the angels will see the blood, and we will not the priest would not get destroyed. All right, so the same scenario that we are witnessing here with the blood of the lamb, and at this point, it's gonna be the time of deliverance, and something will go down here, and that's the reason why, as we read, we're gonna find out what was gonna happen. Okay, so now in verse 7 it says, and they shall take the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. Verse 8, and they shall eat the flesh in that night. So they were gonna sprinkle it so that they can mark the spot or the houses of the Israelites. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, and they shall eat the night roast with fire, unleavened, right? Unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. This is the manner of how we should prepare the lamb and how we should eat the lamb. So we should eat it with unleavened bread with bitter herb, okay? And is and we shall eat it that night, and it shall be roast with fire, meaning no boiling of the lamb. Okay, it shall be roast with fire. In verse 9, it says, eat not of it raw, nor sodden, or at all with water, but roast with fire his head with his leg and with the pertinence thereof. Okay, so he has to be whole and sudden with eat not of it raw and not boil. Okay, not boil. So we have to roast it with fire, and we got to put the head and also the pertinence thereof. And all this is pretty much symbolic to what was going to happen to our Lord and Savior, right? Verse 10, and ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. So not none of the lamb should be left uh until the morning. So whatever is left, it should be burned with fire. So which means we cannot go back and eat it or keep it for leftovers. Okay, because this is very important to be mindful of, because we might some might get into thinking, okay, maybe we should keep some of it, for later on so we can eat. Okay, so this is so important. It's the way we should treat this day, and the way the lamb should be prepared, and the way we should eat it is something to be very, very mindful of, because this is the Most High's instruction on how it's supposed to be done for a specific purpose. In verse 11, and thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, right? With your loin girded, right? Your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord Passover. So it's the Lord Passover. So this is the manner how we should eat it, and the attire how we should be girded up and eat it in haste. Verse 12, for I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both men and beasts. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. So this was the reason for the blood on the doorpost. So as the Most High sent the death angel to destroy the firstborn of the Egyptian, including beasts, it will skip over the houses of the Israelites. Verse 14, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generation. So it should be a memorial, a day to remember, a day to meditate on, and a day that we should observe throughout our generation. Okay? So we shall keep a feast to the Lord throughout your generation. So this is very important, because everything that we do, um, that the Most High instruct us to do, we have to make sure that we do it to the best, to the best as we can as possible, to the best of our ability, and also make sure that everyone is in one accord. And the purpose is for everyone is in one accord. The Most High says that at one time in the future, we all will be on one accord. And what does that mean, to be in one accord? Everyone should understand what the Passover means, the purpose of the Passover, why we are keeping the Passover. So if anyone don't understand, it's very important that you seek to find out what the Passover is about. That way we all would be keeping the feast on one accord. Think about when you're singing a song, right? Let's say you have a chorus. Somebody's playing the band, and somebody's playing the guitar, another person is playing the drums, and everybody knows the word of the song. So if one person is off beat, it pretty much mess up the whole line. And if one person knows the song completely, right, and can sing it, now that person might get into thinking that, oh man, I know this whole song, so you might leave everybody behind. So everybody should know the word of the song. Nobody should leave anybody behind. So everything should be in one accord. So that way, nobody's showing off, right? Because if everybody knows the song, so nobody, there's no need to even be showing up. But if one person knows it and another person don't know it, that person might get to think that, man, I know that song, and you leave everybody behind. So everybody should be on one accord when it comes to keeping the Passover, understand what the Passover is about. Verse 16, verse 15. 7 day, 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. And another part that I didn't touch on 15, it says, keep it throughout your generation. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Notice that it says forever, meaning the children of Israel would be around to keep the feast of Passover wherever the Most High scattered them throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, so it's a blessing that some of us here tonight know that we are the children of Israel, and that we are those who are fulfilling this prophecy right here that the Most High wrote way back then, that we should keep this throughout our generation. So if we are keeping this today, all praise be to the Most High by Hashem Yahushua, that we know that we are following something that He predetermined before the world begins, right? And throughout our generation, and now today, we are here keeping this joyous occasion, right? Verse 15, 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Okay, 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. Okay, so that's what we did today. And if you have any leaven in your house, you should be putting away all leaven out of your house. All right. And it says, out of your house, for whosoever eateth leaven bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So very straightforward, but full of um, meaning and wisdom. Not that the bread that we eat all throughout, the days of before the Passover, not that because they have leaven, the bread is not good, right? It's symbolic to put something away. The Most I could have said, just put all garlic out of your house, or put all sugar out of your house, right? But he chose the leaven. Why? Because leaven has a specific attribute, meaning it rises up the bread. Let's say if you have a small bread, you put the leaven on it, what's going to happen? It's going to rise up. So the leaven is supposed to symbolize putting away sin from our members, or from our vicinity, or wherever we dwell. We're supposed to put sin away. More specifically, our personal sins, right? We got to put those away. So we got to become that new man in that day, because this day is supposed to symbolize that we being cleansed, right, from sin, putting away all leaven, right? It says, for whosoever eateth leaven bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So it's a very, very strict instruction that the Most High give us. All right, so verse 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. This is what we are doing tonight. In the seventh day there shall be an holy convocation. So the first day and the seventh day, it shall be an holy convocation. So since we cannot convocate in a building together, given some people are out of state, and given the time we are in and the circumstances that we are in, we come together in different places, but the spirit the same. Okay, with the same spirit. So that's what's really important. So just to touch on that is just to show you that the Most High is not so much about a building. It's more so about the spirit following his words, and instructions that he set for us to follow, wherever we might be, wherever we scattered, right? We should be having that same spirit. And think about it. Yahushua and all his ministry did not build one building, right? He didn't build one building, but the one building, it did not build one physical building with rocks and cement, right? But the buildings that are very important that he built, they are men, right? He built men. Because of those men today, we still have the scriptures, and he left those men. Now we have the Israelite now start to wake up and know who they are according to the scriptures. It's because of men like Peter that he built, men like Paul, right? Men like Judas, men like Timothy, right? Those are men like Peter said, "Peter, you shall be my rock," right? So Peter gonna be like a rock. So when you building a building, you have rocks, right? You have rocks. So Peter is gonna be the rock. So he built men. So each man has something to contribute, right, into that building. So now we have what we have today, right? So even though he passes, John passes, Peter passed, but we still have this here today because from generation to generation, that word has been passed on. So this is the real foundation, and this is the real building that really matters. And some of us may not understand or get the may not fully understand what Yahushua was doing, even when he said that I can destroy this house and build it back again. Right? He was talking about him dying. So he considered himself as a big building also. Right? So this is the most important building that matters out of all. That building can last through our generation. And this is living proof that we are right, we are that building. Verse 17. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. Forever means forever, ever. Okay? We shall observe this day in your generations for an ordinances forever. All right, so he was talking to the people back then, and we are the people here today. Okay, verse 18. What is it? Okay, verse 19 now. Verse 19. You got it, right? Okay, come on.
All right, Shalom Yasharala. This is Nabi. So now this is Exodus chapter 12 and verse 18. So now when are we supposed to do this? So when are we supposed to do this? So in the first month, on the 14th day of the month of the year. This is when we're supposed to keep this high holy day, which is what we're keeping right now, the Passover, or the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It says, "You shall eat unleavened bread," as Kahamba clarified earlier, "until the 1 and 20th day of the month at even." So in this year, we started the 6th of April, right, which is right now sundown. And if you count 7 days going forward, it's going to go towards what? The 13th is Sunday. That's when the feast is going to be officially over. Going to come together the 12th at sundown. So reading on in verse 19, it reads, 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Right? So you be born in the land or be a stranger, because the Most High knew at that point, not so much, but in the future, because Israel didn't follow the Most High's will, he would scatter us as part of that judgment. We would be in different places. So what he said was, wherever you may be, even if you're there in the land, right? Because at this point we're in the wilderness, right? But when we finally get to the land that was promised our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or if we were scattered abroad, we would still what? Come together to keep this feast. As you see, even in the future, after certain captivities, like in Acts chapter 2, we see us coming together to keep another high holy day, Pentecost, but we were coming from all over. So some of our people at that time would have been considered, like we read here, strangers. Meaning they didn't grow up in Israel or in the promised land. They grew up somewhere else. But in their far distance, wherever they're at, the Spirit has come upon them for where they can see, hear, and understand what the truth is, to know they still should be following these high holy days, and they haven't been totally consumed by the ways of the other nations. Verse 20, "You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread." So you can have bread, just make sure the bread doesn't have any leaven or leavening in it. Once again, as Kamba clarified, the unleavened or the leavening in the bread being symbolic of sin, putting off that sinful nature, right? 21, "Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover." So Moses is telling all the heads of Israel, the elders, what? To draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, right? Because every family may have had more than enough. So if they had extra land, they would spare what their neighbors say that was without, that didn't have as much to be able to celebrate the Passover, right? And this Passover, of course, being the offering that they would kill and eat. It says in 22, "And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel in the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning." Right? So remember, this first Passover is not going until when we were going to go into Israel, which would be in the future, at this time being called Canaan. It's going into the first Passover that we kept, which was what? In our homes in Egypt, where we were still at in captivity, right? He's saying when you prepare that Passover for the blood that comes out, right? When you're preparing and when you're dressing the lamb to be eaten, right? And you pour out the blood, take the blood, get hyssop, right? Which is like a branch of a certain type of herb. Get that, dip it in the blood, go outside, put it on your post of your door, right? And it says, "None of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning," right? So stay inside after you do that. Why? He's going to tell us. 23, "For the Lord," or in the ancient Hebrew, Yahweh, "will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door." So that's why we call it Passover, right? Because it says the Most High, he'll pass over our doors, those of us that cooperate and do this, and will not suffer or allow the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you, right? So the Most High is going to send a destroyer, right? Or a messenger, an angelic force of sorts, to go and destroy, but not us. It says in 24, ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. So every year from this time going forward, we're supposed to keep this day, right? Even now in so-called 2020, at least according to the calendar that we have now, when it's the first month and the 14th day, we should remember this, as we and other branches of Christ and other places are doing in this time of year. It says, and it shall come to pass, this is verse 26, no, 25. It shall come to pass that when you come to the land which Yahweh will give you, according as he had promised, so speaking future tense at this point, we will go into what they was then was called Canaan, but we will call Israel after we took it. The land which Yahweh will give you, according as he had promised, that ye shall keep this service, right? Because we're servants of the Most High, and this is the service that we're supposed to follow as his people. 26, and it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what meaneth ye by this service? Right? So as you as children, and even those young in the spirit, right? Because we know we have physical children, but we also can have spiritual children. Like you see when Paul wrote his different letters, when you see the work that he did in the Acts of the Apostles, he would adopt certain men and women as his sons and daughters, those that he would teach Christ and they would follow, right? So you have both those scenarios. But all in all, the idea is for all Israel to be considered servants to the Most High, for all Israel to be considered children of the Most High, right? It says in 27 that you shall say, meaning you shall say to your children, this in this context, your physical children, it is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Passover, which passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt. And what did he do? Where did the destroyer go? When he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. So that destroyer was going to destroy their houses. So it passed over our houses, but then went to their houses, right? It says, and the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Yahweh had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. 29. And it came to pass that at midnight Yahweh smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle, right? So the firstborn throughout, through and through, right? This destroyer that he sent, right? This angelic force, it didn't care about what your station was in society at that time, right? It didn't care about how much wealth you had or how much influence you had in that government of Egypt at that time. It was looking for that firstborn, and not only amongst people, different nations that were in Egypt, Matazarim in particular, which is the native Egyptians, but even the cattle too. The firstborn even of the cattle of Egypt did they come for. 30. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. So this hits pretty hard, right? Because every family, right, even in the animal kingdom, right, has a firstborn somewhere. So somebody, felt it somehow, some way in every family, right? 31. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up, get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve Yahweh, as he hath said. 32. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men, right? Because remember, the Egyptians were getting hit up pretty tough with a bunch of plagues. This being the 10th plague, and this being a terrible plague, if you can only imagine, right? If this were to happen to you and to your family, right? So, once again, they're taking heed to what they're saying and they're following. But when you read in the past, you read about the Most High. Every time you would let the people go, Most High would harden Pharaoh's heart again to where he would still want to hold on to him. And as you read on, you're gonna see he's gonna do that again. But as you read further on in Exodus, unfortunately, well, you could say unfortunately for them, it says in 34, and the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs or kneading troughs, being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. So, they didn't just go to the supermarket and get the bread, right? Not to say you didn't have bakers, but now for them that prepared the bread in their home, they took their tools that they used in their dough before it was leavened, right? And put that upon their shoulders because it was time to go, right? No time to let the bread rise, which the use would cause. So once again, going into that symbolism behind Feast of Unleavened Bread, because as we're going to read, we had to leave Egypt quickly, leave Egypt in haste. I mean, there was no time for that leaven to be in the bread for it to allow it to rise. You go into the process of making bread. It says in 35, and the children of Israel did according to, and they of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewel and rain, right? So like they say in the world, run the jewels, right? Borrowed of their jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, which were really parting gifts because we weren't coming back, right? Not as cat in the story. And there's even scriptures that speak to that specifically. Come. So
Yeah.
I'll hand over to Zaquan.
Yeah, Shalom and Tawada Nabiyah. Yeah, I just want to touch on where Kahan Nabiyah left off, where they said they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver. When you go to the Hebrew, it's from the Hebrew word sharal, which means took. So technically they took. They didn't borrow with the intention of returning. They took of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold. And you could also relate and touch on that in Exodus, the 11th chapter, the first and the second verse. And once again, priest Zaquan Malak, and I'm pausing for a second so I could take off this banner. And Salakia, I put up every other priest's name that came up. But going forward, we will have that. So this is Exodus 12, verse 36. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And the people they're talking about are the Israelites. The Israelites are anyone whose father's generation on their father's side of the family, from the enslaved in Americas, North, Central, and South America, the Caribbean islands, and also the indigenous people, the native people known as the Indians, not the East Indians, the native Indians in North, Central, and South America on their father's side. Those are the people that they're referring to in Exodus, and those are the Israelites. So Exodus 12 and 36, and Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. So they spoiled the Egyptians by taking their belongings. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. So these were men beside children, and a mixed multitude went up also with them. So this mixed multitude is talking about men and children, And they went into a mixed multitude to say that also women were with them too. So now there's been people who are saying that, oh, this mixed multitude is every nation and or all the Egyptians. And you could look on YouTube and find people saying this is when the nations were grafted in. So let's say that was the case. Let's go to Nehemiah, the 13th chapter and the 3rd verse to see, are we supposed to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh? Or are we supposed to follow what man believes in his heart and what he feels that the nations probably can be saved? So let's go to Nehemiah 13 and 3. Nehemiah 13 and 3 says, now it came to pass when they had heard the law, when the Israelites heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. So now this mixed multitude is talking about other nations, because when you read in Nehemiah and Ezra, you had Israelites who were mixing with the other nations, and even Solomon outlandishly mixed with the other nations, which was wrong. And I'm going to go to Ezra 10 and 3, which is right behind the book of Nehemiah. Ezra, the 10th chapter, you would think is way back in the book the way I'm flipping. Ezra 10 and 3. Now, therefore, let us make a covenant with our power to put away all the wives and such as are born of them, according to the counsel of my Lord. Because we read that according to the law, we should separate ourselves from this mixed multitude. So according to the counsel of my Lord and of those that tremble at the commandment of our power, and let it be done according to the law. So we put away our wives, and as you read, it lets you know we not only put away our wives, but we put away the children that were born of them as well. So even if that was the case, even though it wasn't, because when you think about it, I just look at people who have a spirit similar to mine. We probably would have been, rolling with each other in captivity. Like you had brothers like Nat Turner. Even when you watch the depiction of the movie, you see Nat Turner, he's with a crew, and he had some Uncle Tom, no, not Uncle Tom's, because he wasn't a trader. He had some Sambos who said, nah, I'm not going to roll with you. I'm going to go back and I'm not going to deal with this. So you had people, and even during the Maccabees, when they said, let's go to war, even when you read about us going to war against the other nations, they said, anybody that is fearful, leave now, because the Most High said, I don't want y'all winning with great numbers in your army. So the fearful left. So when you have the fierce brothers in the same spirit, our spirit continues to go into the same spirit. When you have the same spirit dwelling in us now, I can't see after Egyptians enslaved me or Esau enslaved me, I'm going to say, let's go. Come on. Let's go through the Red Sea. You can be with us. A lot of people get caught up in the Caucasian version of the 10 Commandments, and that's where they get lost in the source, and these things get embedded in their mind, just like a lot of things get embedded in their mind from watching different programs and not really adhering to the Bible. So I'm gonna read this again. So in a nutshell, we would have killed the Egyptians coming through the Red Sea. Like, yo, you're not coming with us. Go with your army. And why would they come with us after we'd taken all their jewelry and their children are dying? They would have been so fearful of us. They would have been like, yo, just go. But that's realistically thinking about it. But everyone, like I said, if that's what you believe, going forward, that notion has been dismissed and cut off. So I'm going to read it again. This is Exodus 12 and 38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, with flocks and herds, even very much cattle. There was even also a mixed multitude of animals going with them. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. So this is why we have the Passover ceremony, which is a high holy day where we don't do the sacrifice, because Yahushua, known to the world as Jesus Christ, is our sacrifice. This is why we do the Passover, and we just have limited food during that Passover meal. Because as you read here, we didn't have time to prepare any victual. Like, we didn't have time to make sweet potatoes to go along with the lamb. We didn't have time to, make curry chicken, curry rice, and whatever to go along with the lamb. So, because we didn't have time to prepare all these victuals, but we had time to roast the lamb. And, lettuce, you could break that off and wash it. And this is why we have those type of foods when we have the Passover meal. I mean, you can have food like tomorrow morning, it'll still be the Passover feast on unleavened bread, but you can eat eggs, you can eat turkey bacon with no nitrates. You could do all different types of food, fried chicken, whatever you want. But during the Passover, to show the meal that we ate, it was limited. So this is verse 40, Exodus 12 and 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day came to pass that all the hosts of Yahweh went out from the land of Egypt. So all his people left Egypt. Can you imagine if somebody stayed back in Egypt and after they slaughtered all the Egyptian chariots in the water and some of them came back, and the people in Egypt, they probably would have murdered any Israelite that was left in Egypt at that time. 42. It is a night to be much observed unto Yahweh for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. This is that night of Yahweh to be observed of all children of Israel in their generations. So when you have different organizations out there who are not keeping a Passover, who are not keeping the high holy days, they're breaking the laws of the Heavenly Father. So when it's time to come do judgment on the earth, they're not going to have any excuse because it's written in the Holy Bible. The King James Version is written in every version. 1611 King James, New International Version, all the different versions tell you we're supposed to keep this throughout our generations, although they alter the words in some way, form, or fashion. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance or the order, the strict rules, the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. And when you read Leviticus, the 25th chapter, it talks about the different treatment of a stranger. So this stranger is talking about a stranger of Israel. But every man, this is talking about a stranger of the other nations, that he shouldn't eat thereof. Because a stranger coming from a different land or a different town, or like how we visit different schools, we would be considered strangers to that congregation. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. So when you check this out, like I said, in Leviticus, the 25th chapter, 36 through 46, it tells you the different treatment of Israelite servants. If you had an Israelite servant, you can't beat him with a stick if he's doing something wrong. But if you had a nation servant, you could beat him with a stick. So these servants could not dwell with us. And at one time in the book of Ezekiel, they had them in the outer courts. Like if they came and they wanted to worship our God, or all nations are going to come and worship our feast, but they're not going to be with us. And I'm going to show you that real quick. Hold this. I'm in Exodus 12:44 and go to 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. And the 14th verse. Unless you have in your spirit, because that's how you were brought up, or maybe somebody sight, this is what the Most High said in 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion has light with darkness? And when you read Psalms 147, 19 and 20, Yahweh said he has not shown his word to any nation except for Israel and Jacob, who he has chosen. They don't even have any understanding of this word. So what fellowship do you have with the other nations that you would want to bond with them and join with them and worship with them and be with them anyway? And what communion has light, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in Yahweh Shai, known to the world as Christ, with darkness? There's no fellowship with darkness. When you read Matthew's, the 4th chapter, it's talking about Satan, the devil, went and tried to entice Christ with all the kingdoms of the earth. And he said, I'm not dealing with that. I'm going to worship Yahweh, the power of my Father. So what fellowship do we have with people that are in darkness? Because the word wasn't given to them, neither can they understand it. Why should we even want to have light with darkness? And what concord has Christ with Belial? Or what part has he that believeth with an infidel? Somebody that morally doesn't have a conscience or a right spirit with Christ. And what agreement has the temple of the Most High with idols? For ye are the temple of the living power. As the Most High has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Because according to the Most High, all the nations are unclean, and they're counted less than nothing. So we're lowering ourselves to nothing when we're trying to incorporate and be with the other nations. So this 12 and 44. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. So this is an Israelite servant. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. That's somebody that's not an Israelite servant. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. Unfortunately, because we're in captivity, the bones have been cut or broken prior to us getting our lamb, but we have to keep the parts that it's in our power to do. We're not supposed to take lamb out of our house. Like, if I can't consume the abundance of lamb that I made, I'm gonna have to toss it, which I'm a dread doing, because you cannot have any lamb left over after the Passover. All the congregation, all the Salakia, forgive me, all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee and will keep the Passover of Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. And that's clearly showing you that this stranger is a stranger because he was not born in the land. Not necessarily that he's not an Israelite. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. But when you read the law, we have different laws for the other. And here it's clearly saying one law for the homeborn and for the stranger, because we're from the same nation. Thus did all the children of Israel, as Yahweh commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that Yahweh did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. So we were brought out of the land of Egypt by our armies of people. Not that we had armies with garrisons and captains of 10,000 and generals, but it was armies and companies of men. So I just want to read this before I bring in the other priests. This is Jeremiah 23, 7 and 8. Therefore, behold, the days come, said Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Now, how is the scriptures? Let's say you only read that verse. You would think we're not supposed to talk about the Passover anymore once we got into the Babylonian Empire. But when you read on, it says, when is this time going to come to pass? This is when we're redeemed out of the earth. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed, the children of our forefathers, the seed of the house of Israel, out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. This is when we're going to go back to our homeland. And it's going to be such a beautiful, horrific, a terrible, a glorious thing that's what we're all going to be talking about for years to come. So now we're going to go into the New Testament and go into the drinking of the wine. So waiting for Kahan Nabiyah to come through.
I'll tell you why later.
So when Nabiyah comes through, we're going to just roll with this real quick. So does everyone have wine and unleavened bread? And everybody watching, everyone listening, should get wine and unleavened bread.
I would say make sure you get your wine, your unleavened bread, and also your bitter herbs.
Give me 1 second.
Your wine, your bitter herbs, your unleavened bread.
And if you want to read along, go to Matthew's, the 26th chapter. And we're going to read, I believe, from the 26th verse. So hopefully everyone has their stuff together and ready. I thought y'all had it ready.
Can you bring Nabi in? Can you see him?
He has a black screen.
The bread too.
But there it is. So is everyone ready?
Con.
Everyone, that unleavened bread, bitter herb, and a yayan or drink. So your mics are muted for some reason. Do you want to read that real quick?
Well,
You want me to read it? Let me read that.
I think Consummate got it.
Who has it?
Come on.
Okay.
Con. So this is Matthew's the 26th chapter, right? So this is when Yahushua was sitting down having the Passover like we're doing right now, back with the 12 disciples. It says Matthew's 26th chapter, verse 20, 26th chapter, verse 26. It says, and as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. Right? So everybody grabs their unleavened bread. I think I get a bigger piece. Right? Do the Hebrews, Aquan.
Lacombe.
Huh?
I know this is Lacombe. Matazawa. Lacombe.
Or a lacum?
Lacombe is bread, but Matazawa is unleavened bread.
Con. So Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Matazawa.
Con. Nice and dry.
Yeah, if everybody's using the box matzahs, it's nice and dry. If you made your own, all right. So I'm gonna read on verse 27. He says, and he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Right. So we'll grab the cup. Everybody grabs their cup. Barak Yahweh Hashem. Barak Parya Hagapin. Fruit of the vine.
Don't make noise. That's you.
So remember, as we're eating and we're drinking the bread and the yayan or the wine, you know, it's symbolic of, you know, Yahushua. So we're eating it, you know, the wine may taste good or whatever, or the bread may taste a certain. Remember, Paul questioned those who are partaking and eating of this bread to make sure that you examine yourself, that you can eat worthy, right? You don't want to eat unworthily, meaning you're doing things that are not according to the Most High and Christ's will, and you're making his sacrifice to be ashamed. So this is where we know, this is that part where we got to put in our own effort to walk in the same footsteps, to do the same things that he laid the example for us to follow, so that he can meet us in the end, right? Because he says, as I read on, verse 29, but I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine, agape, until that day when I drink it new with your kingdom. So if you're one of those 12 brothers that was sitting there, you're waiting for that time to transpire. You're waiting for it to come back. We know Judas, was not going to be one after the events of him betraying Yahushua. But for all of those who came after, we're all waiting for that rekindling and rejoining with Christ to drink the yayan in the kingdom. But before we get there, before we celebrate, we have to go through some things, right? There's some things that are transpiring now, and there's some things that we still got to build up within ourselves. We still got to get our minds and our spirits even more fervent than what it was before, so that we can become more acceptable when the Most High in Christ sets the time for our redemption. So again, think of the spiritual aspect of that bread that we're eating, and not just the physical. Think of the spiritual aspect of him shedding his blood. Remember, if you were standing there and you saw Christ being nailed to a cross and him bleeding and people just watching, he's standing up there hours on end, you become empathetic. There's a lot of things that be going through your mind, especially if you know that he is the Messiah, that he is the deliverer. But he sacrificed and laid his life down for us, so that even us right now today, a lot of the sins and iniquity that we're doing, we're being pardoned. The Most High can jack us up right now, right, for a lot of the things that we're doing. But because we're striving to the best of our ability to get there, he's showing us favor. He's showing us mercy. He chastens us, but he shows us that mercy. So never forget that, and consider our ways as we move forward day by day. So, go ahead, Paquad.
In verse 42, chapter 12, when we were reading, where it says it's a night to be much observed. Think about it. Yahushua, the Most High, made sure that he watched every single Israelite that were coming out of Egypt that night. So he pretty much wait the whole time, make sure that every single one of them walked through. And it's a lot of us walk through one by one, make sure we left Egypt with no problem. So now it's our time now to observe that night, because you observe us live in Egypt and give us all the protection and watch us as we were going through, the Red Sea. So one by one, imagine that long line and the patience the Most High has to watch each and every single one of us just pass through that night, with safety. So that's why it says this is a night to be much observed, because he observed us that night leaving Egypt.
Yeah, I just want to add a scripture to what, this is sort of the same thing what Kahan Samak is bringing out. This is 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter and the 20th verse. Because this is touching on what Kahan Samak was bringing out. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 20. When you come together, therefore, unto one place, this is not to eat the Lord's Supper. Even though now we're not in one place because of this coronavirus, COVID-19 situation that's going on in the world right now, not just America, we're forced, to do this from our homes. Like in the beginning, where everyone had to go to a home and just get enough lamb for them and their neighbor and throw out whatever. But so when we come together to eat the Lord's Supper, this is right now what we're doing is eating the Lord's Supper. For in eating, everyone taketh before other his own supper, and one is hungry and another is drunken. What? Have ye not houses to eat and drink in? So this is not a place to come like, I can't wait to get some lamb, can't wait to drink some wine, can't wait to do all these things. because you could do that on any other day. And it's along the same lines as the Sabbath. You have 6 days to do your own thing within the law, of course, and the holy days. And the 7th day, do something different to show your gratitude towards the Most High in the name of Yahweh. So it's the same thing with the Passover. You could eat and drink and do your thing any other day, but when you come to the Passover, this is about giving homage and honor and respect to the Most High in the name of Yahweh. And we're not supposed to come here looking for a meal because we like how, Kahan Samak might make the crispy lamb and stuff like that. We got to come in the spirit, knowing what this represents, as Kahan Paquad was bringing out also, and what it's going to do for us going forward if we hold on to the end. So it says, what ye have not houses to eat and drink in, or despise ye the church of the Most High, and shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not. So this is about keeping a holy day and not really about eating. And I just wanted to touch on that. I mean, we could have read on in there. It says the same thing as in Matthew's 26th chapter. So go ahead, Kahan Smart.
So yeah, now we're going to grab the bitter herbs. So hopefully everybody was able to go get some bitter herbs this week or last week. Preferably a horseradish. That's our tradition. Everybody goes out and gets it, cleans it, cuts it up, and then get you a nice piece, right? So like we read in Exodus, the first chapter and the third chapter about our heart affliction. So when we usually eat this bitter herb, it cleans you out, but it brings a lot with it, right? And we usually want to do this collectively together, so that we can all go through that experience together in unity and one and solidarity. So I'm going to bless the bitter herbs first. Barak the Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Barak Ma'akol, the food. I don't know what the bitter herb one is in the Hebrew. I'll say Ma'akol. So to Yasha Allah, to Israel. So everybody eat.
Stop making faces on camera.
All right.
You got to drink.
Ooh. All right, so it's gone.
Sure.
Split moment.
Yeah. Ooh, shit, get that big.
Drink some of it. That's gonna be taped.
So that'll be the first of many that I know a lot of brothers and sisters going to eat tonight. First of many. We got to eat like 3 of them. You lost
Do all the coughing now, because we can do it once we at the street.
He's somewhere out on the
street. Right. So keep in mind, remember, as you read in Deuteronomy 16, 1-7, looks like Zakwan mentioned earlier, for those who cooked and prepared your lamb, whatever you cooked and prepared, eat all you can, and then the rest goes in the garbage. Can't, exhibit charity and say you want to give it to your next door neighbor or anything like that, and then they keep it to the next day, because it's supposed to be burned, destroyed, before the sun comes up. So again, if you eat all you can, and then whatever you can't, it goes into the garbage, or you can just burn it up if you have a fire or anything where you're dwelling. But again, so this is a festive occasion. This is in the midst of the coronavirus where everyone's home. You know, try to enjoy yourselves, make new recipes, come up with different things to uplift your spirits, study, learn throughout the week, right? I always make sure, you know, I remember taking advantage of the time where you can't go out and do a lot of different things to try to, you know, enhance your mind and your spirit. You know, go find something that you don't know of, and then go try to learn about it. Like go read up in the that you know enhance. You know, you can go use YouTube and try to figure out that skill and that task and then nurture it. So try to use this time to become more productive in the truth and the spirit, and to help out yourself as well as the nation. So, you know, and enjoy yourself this week. You know, even the months we here, but still, you know, enjoy yourselves. You know, we got text messages and different ways of communicating, and you know, brothers do that now. They'll send different videos and things that's going on in current events in the group chats to keep everybody aware of what's going on, or you know, certain sayings to kind of uplift us. Brothers is posting scriptures to kind of, you know, get our minds in tune with what's going on from a current event standpoint, or just to get you in the right perspective for that day. So, you know, try to do that. You know, I know we have a group chat for those who are not on there. Everybody's not on there, but if you want to be a part of it, you know, let us know and we'll include you, and you can see some of the things that we got going on. We'll try to, you know, get at more of the now, since we're on this medium of you know, little new technology that we're experiencing is kind of working out good. We're working out the kinks. You know, we'll try to get more videos and things, you know, as the weeks come on. So again, you know, besides will everybody has a happy Passover, happy Ashar Pesach. Enjoy this evening. Drink some yayin, some grape juice, eat some lamb. Make sure you have your staff, all the brothers out there, when you go and you start to eat your actual meal, have your staff in hand, and to go and keep the ordinance that the scriptures talk about.
Right. And I like to say also, Barakatah Yahweh for allows Zaquam Malak to find this stream so that we can still observe this night.
That's all due to the Most High while Yahweh child.
It was such a night that we can't let it pass. So the Most High had it where you were able to find this, so we can keep this thing going, regardless of the situation.
Yeah, Khan Samak put that bug in my ear so I could reach out to some of the Israelite camps and say, "Yo, how y'all do this?" And that's how I made it happen.
I like those staffs these brothers got on there. I'm looking at these staffs looking nice. I see. Yeah, some of us got to step our game up, huh?
Some of us have our rooms.
I know.
Room handle.
Robert Quad tried to hand me a broom handle.
Got to work with what you got, man. All right, so I think we're going to send out the closing prayers. Again, happy Passover, everybody. Hopefully they can enjoy it without any stress of the world that's going on, at least for the next 7 days. And, you know, we'll still be having class tomorrow night, class Friday night, Sabbath service Saturday, and the closing service will be Sunday night, right? So Sunday night, this upcoming Sunday night, we'll be doing the closing for the Passover. And then the following Monday night is what ends the Passover, where after when the sun sets on Monday, we'll be able to go back to eating leavened food.
Wonder bread.
Right. And for those who are questioning, who don't know, definitely reach out, send an email. I think the distribution is going out already online for the Passover menu, as far as for what things you have to make sure that you have out of your houses, as far as for the ingredients. You know, pay attention to those ingredients. Make sure by at least if you haven't gotten everything out of your homes, get them out of your homes within this day. Scrub your houses. Go into every nook and corner. There's always some leaven sitting somewhere that you probably forgot about. That's kind of how it operates in the spirit, right? When you don't cleanse your spirit out, there's always some residue from your old man, right? And you see it come out, at the oddest time. So, we always, on a carnal level, you think, oh man, I didn't do that, and then you got to go get that at the last minute. So let's try to cleanse as well as spiritual. All right, so that's it for me.
One thing I want to add. I know many, because I see it on YouTube. I don't know who, HYK, don't believe that there's a virus going around, but I'm in the belly of the beast, which everybody knows. New York is the financial capital and all that nonsense. The virus is also attacking New York on a high level because I guess this is the capital city of Babylon. And so many people, I guess people don't believe because they don't have a lot of people that they know dying in front of them or that are sick in front of them. And, I just heard today more people that I know are dying from the COVID-19 virus. So it may be a hoax in some people's minds, but it's not a hoax when you live in it and you're seeing people dropping before you. You're seeing people getting sick and hospitalized where they can't breathe. When I talk to people who have COVID-19, they talk like, I can't breathe. Just to give you a demonstration. So it's real in New York, but it may not be real in other people's minds because what they read on the internet. And that's why the internet is like a dangerous tool for a lot of people because they come up with so many conspiracies. And granted, it could have been created. I just heard recently the town in Wuhan, China, there was a chemical lab over there, and they think that some of the chemicals they were experimenting on went into the animals over there or just got into the people somehow. They talk about the 5G towers, but whatever it is, all I'm saying is it's real in New York. So maybe it didn't go to Philly, down south, the Midwest, hardcore like it's here. I'm suggesting to you, brothers and sisters, whether you believe or not, the Most High put not the spirit of fear in us, because I don't fear it. If I die, I'll be with Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Like, Paul was saying, he didn't know whether to choose between the two. My thing is, the Most High gives me wisdom. If there's a gunfight down on the corner, I'm not going to say, oh, the Most High got me. You know what I'm saying? I could walk through the gunfight. It's all good. Ah, ha, ha, ha. No, I'm going to protect myself because he gives me the wisdom like, yo, you can do this. You can stay at home. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to be around people. You can make a mask. You can wear a mask. You can wear rubber gloves in the street. You could avoid people, keep your distance. What's the big deal? Even if I'm asymptomatic, where I could pass it on to people, but I'm never getting sick. So I'm even looking out for other people. What's the big deal? What's the big deal if what they're saying is correct? And that's what's going down. And I'm able to help my people because I'm seeing my people dying. I'm seeing my people going to the hospital. And although they're not in the truth, they're still Israelites. So what's the big deal in trying to do the right thing? Because that's the wisdom that the Most High gave me to do. It has nothing to do with fear. I'm not walking around like some of my colleagues. Oh my God, I'm not coming to work. I'm not doing that. But I have the wisdom to protect me, my family, and my family of Israel, who I'm in contact with, and try to limit my contact with people and avoid distance because I don't want nobody spitting in my eye, on my lip when they talking, in my ear. And the stuff happens. So all I'm saying, brothers and sisters, be safe out there. Don't just take everything for granted and walk like, macho man. Because I've seen many people in Israel, in the truth, die while they were in the truth. And people like, oh, how they died. And I'm not talking about people that was in their 70s or Sister Zakaria that was like in super pain. But I just want to put that out there. Just be safe out there, you know, and be strong. Look for different recipes online for the unleavened bread. Hopefully, I got ingredients and everything going on. And that's all I have to say. And anybody else got anything to say? That's it. All right, so we're gonna close out with the prayers. And Ashar Pasak, Wahamatazawaf, Yasharala, that's happy Passover and feast on unleavened bread to Israel. Shalom. Barakata Yahweh Ba Shem Yahweh Shai wa Nathan Lanawa Par Yagapan Twadaman La Yahweh Ba Shem Yahweh Shai Af Yasharala. I Madwa Wapanya Jerusalem stand and face Jerusalem, which is towards the east, where the sun rises, opposite of where the sun sets. Barakata Yahweh Hagadal Rakawam Abiyar Wanara Aliyawan Malak Shal Shamayam Waratiza Wakal Dabarium Kayayum Wagum Hamashiyak Mayahava Adawan Nawa Ahab Nawa Apala Yawa Aitiza Yahawashai Zakar Nawa Yahwa Baratazawan Aimkar Yasharala Izar Nawa Bana Wasap Yasharala Al Na Nawa Yum Yun Aita Kayawamyum Makudam Babakusha Shalak Mayaka Allah Wahatazawadak Alahayam La Magan Nawa Rapa Nawa Washamar Al Nawa Wa Iquar Shalak Haroka Shal Yahweh Shai La Nawa La Lamad Nawa Rabium Kakama Dabawana Wada Ait Shal the Baraka Bashum Yahweh Shai the Wada Damyad Waiwalum Amun. The English translation. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Bless you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high, power, King of heaven and earth, and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably your people, Israel. Help us build and gather Israel Most High. We beg you right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. So be it. Yahweh, Bashum, Yahushua, Babakashah, Shemai, Lanawa, Aita, Yum Yun, Aita, Shalak, Mayaka Allah, Wahatazawadak, Alahayam, La, Shamar Al, Barak, Rapah, Magun, Waisha, Kazak, Banyam, Yasharala, Washalak, Lanawa, Rabium, Kakama, Rabium, Da'ai, Rabium, Bayana, Rabium, Sabalanwath, Rabium, Amawan, Rabium, Aqua, Rabium, Ahabium, Rabium, Rakanaya, Haganah, Wasalak, Kal, Katayamnawa, Laha Akim, Wa Akiwath, Shal Yasharala, Damyad, Wa Iwalam, Wa Shum, Yahawashai, the Wada, Aman. Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashai, please listen to us right now. Send Michael and the righteous powers to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel, and send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins for the brothers and sisters of Israel, so always and forever. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. So be it. The Four Corners Prayer. Yahweh, Bashum, Yahushai, Barak Naba, Yasharala, Wahaba Saparium, Shemai, Yasharala, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad. So Israel, I don't know if Kahan Nabiyah wants to say a prayer over the food. Because I'll say a brief prayer over the food.
Come.
All right.
Yahweh, Karawo, Basham, Harawanya, Yahawashai, Babakushak, Makao, Yanawa, Shatayawath, Yanawa, Yayan, Yanawa, Lacham, Yanawa, Shakara, Yanawa, Zakhar, Hapasak, Basham, Yahawashai, Thawada, Aman.
Okay, Shalom, Israel. The water for participating, attending, and have a blessed Passover and Feast on Unleavened Bread.